Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah and this is Pentacle Design. Here today we are at the Houston Green Building Resource Center with Steve, and he's going to tell us about the Resource Center and what they do here.
Well, thank you. Steve Stelzer, Program Director of the City of Houston Green Building Resource Center. I've got about 3,000 square feet of display area here, and it's free and open to the public. I'm also available free and open to the public to discuss green building strategies, and I have about 50 displays of green building strategies. So this is a great place to visit. I also have a website called Code Green Houston. So building code, and then green, and then Houston, Code Green Houston, all run together, .org, not .com, not .gov, .org. So that's where we are with being able to access the program. So behind me is kind of an interesting piece of artwork. It's our second largest piece of artwork in the building. Little known fact, Houston actually has an ordinance that requires public art in public buildings to the tune of 1% of the building budget. So there are lots of really cool art displays in this building. And the other very cool thing about this building is it is a renovated warehouse. New York City, we don't have nothing on them, but we got one here, and it's pretty awesome. And it has a pretty nifty green story because it's LEED Gold certified. So the design team has had to do a lot of things to satisfy the U.S. Green Building Council to make this a green building. So that's pretty nice. Another display that right here is pretty helpful is this idea about clothing. And you might say, Steve, is there something building about clothing? And the answer is, okay, where do we wear clothes? Yes, in buildings. Where do we make clothes? Typically in buildings. Okay, so buildings are involved even with things like clothing. And why is clothing an issue? Because it is a major contributor to the landfill. There is such a huge amount of clothing that cannot biodegrade, and there is no recycling of clothing other than Mother Nature biodegrading silk and cotton and wool and some of the pure materials. Now, the minute you have a blend like poly something and cotton, then that's a Franken blend, and there's no recycling of that either. About the only thing we can do is ship it off to a third world country where they really appreciate getting these clothes for next to nothing, and then they wear them and they all look like Americans. So at any rate, this is something that we really need to fix because it's a huge problem and there is an amazing lack of awareness. So one of the things that we want to do here at the Green Building Resource Center is raise awareness. So you're going to see some things here that you might not really think about. And the more we get people to think about some of these things, the better our chances of getting some of these things fixed. Because when only one person, does something, how badly is that going to affect the planet? Not so much, okay? But what about when 1 million does it, okay? Then we're starting to really impact a locality, all right? So things scale up in Houston with 2.3, however many million people we have here doing something, it's a problem, like driving their cars. Okay, the air quality is terrible, all right? So that's a thing. Now, we got 7.5 billion people on the planet, so now let's jump it up to billions. What happens when we have billions of people doing things? Oh yeah, climate change. So we just have this snowball effect. The more we get people doing things, and then all of a sudden we have this, oh, I don't want to hear about not doing what I want to do. All right, people stop listening. So what we need to work on, though, is this awareness so that people can start asking questions, and why can't we make things better? What if they just started off with not being so bad, okay? So that's where we need to head. This whole idea that life is like a light switch, right, where things are either on or off, that is not how we need to think about things. We need to think about things like An aircraft carrier out in the wide open ocean takes 8 miles to turn around and do a 180, okay? So that's how you move public behavior, slowly. But we need to start with, that's like that marathon, starts with a first step, okay? So let's kind of be heading in that direction. So I invite you to come down here. You can come in, and there's one thing you can turn on and off, and that's sort of your brain. So let's turn it on, come here, and raise awareness. If you're someone who likes to be more aware, I think you won't regret it. It's time well spent.